Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the fabulous return of Reaction Time Season 1. We back. I know we took a break and skipped all playoffs, but it's okay. Don't worry about it. Not your business. We're back. I'm David. That's Steven. That's Eric. We're here. It's World Season, baby. How y'all feeling?
I'm hype. I'm ready.
Got a couple of NA shills on the video chat here.
Hopium.
Look,
Yeah,
man,
these great teams that didn't have to go through play-ins. Yeah,
Absolutely. Coming
look,
in cold in the first round.
all I'm saying is if I could A, read Mandarin, or B, LPL teams had English facing storefronts with decent shipping costs, I would have all of the FPX merch. That's all I'm saying. I've tried for years. It's very difficult. Well, I think we're gonna get there as things get more popular. Like
we
if
tried we tried with Snake before they rebranded
we
to
did, like we
LNG. It
looked
was
into it, and
very hard. Yeah,
Google Translate doesn't do Mandarin very well, and it doesn't hit things that aren't text, which there's a lot of on those pages.
I,
and
I
then
think
trying to
You
figure
know,
out international shipping
from
um,
China.
from China.
I think
Yeah,
that's the fastest way to get your bank account flagged is to be purchasing things from China
Right.
directly using Google Translate.
Look, man, we'll get there, but it's gonna take some time yet because I really want, like, I just want to do MB Jersey. That's all I want. We can rock with that, but um. Anyway, to properly start our world's discussion, we are not going to talk about any of the teams going. What y'all think about the song?
It's another one that's gonna have to grow. I use the My Mix feature on YouTube, and so it feeds me things that I listen to a lot. So I get like a world section that has all the year's worlds, so I kind of get them like organically fed to me. And the ones that hit at this kind of like they definitely are going for like that like slow build hype energy, like this is the prestige of it, and there's like history and lore. And I don't think that, like, it's not a banger like it should be in my opinion. I like the bangers, like hard hitters. This one's more of just like a anthem, I guess is a way to put it. So I think I will like it more looking back on it.
Eric, thoughts?
all I think about is the fact that's the most engaging Oriana v Syndra matchup in that music video that I've ever seen. Yeah,
Yeah, the music is one thing. Steven, what did you think of the animation?
I think the animation was great. I believe they used two different animated styles in there, which was interesting, but I did like it. I think continuing to showcase what they can do as far as development, only is going to lead well into Arcane, which is in a month, so that's going to be sweet. And I think they're selling off the technology with like that they better not butcher the world's presentation, like the KDA stuff or whatever they end up doing, because people are latching onto that VR experience. There's that one Hulu show or something that's coming out. It's like Alter Ego or whatever. It looks exactly like the KDA performances, but with like the
Oh, the
mocap
the
stuff.
one that's like Masked Singer only with like VTuber shit. Like, yeah,
Yes.
I've seen the ads for it.
Yeah, so I can't help but think that maybe some people that worked on those projects for KDA might have gotten some consulting fees in there because it looks
No.
oddly similar.
so even if we avoid the snow crashed portions of this presentation, like one of the other good things about like the animation for this one to me is that they called out like some of the other historic figures who aren't at this tournament but who really matter in the context. Like Rookie and the Shy were in the video. Like Reckless is in the video. Like these people who aren't here noticeably at Worlds. Uh and so that was like neat how it like had the historical context in addition to just seeing like, uh Showmaker and like these other people like doing nonsense and having like anime powers, which was awesome. Like I always love when they like have the people do the cool stuff, like
Yeah,
going
that's
even back to like the season 2 video.
So yeah, I have to ask now because we've talked about the art. Steven talked about the music. Eric, how do you feel about the song? Like, I am curious.
Um I'd like it a lot actually. I also do think it'll need to grow on me though, because like I only really feel the world song after I've had it on repeat for about 10 to 20 reps. It's
So
like
what I was gonna say about it is like I watched it like when they streamed it live. I actually was for once at a computer at the right time and had it on, and it was like the music fine, the animation was sick, but the music was fine. And then I had to go pick up dinner, so they had it up on Spotify right away. I turned it on in the car, crank it up a little bit. I'm like, oh, this hits, okay. Like it needs the little bit extra bass behind it, and then it's the drops hit much better.
Yeah, that's how I always felt about Ignite. Ignite had my favorite like showcase the old stories. So like even if you animate it and certain teams don't make it in, yikes. It still is good just contextually. And then that music just like listening to it, especially now after it's like ancient by standards of esports, like it's like, oh yes, the olden times when when it was better.
Yeah, I too I have well, not even just World Season. One of my Spotify daily mixes is video game music and is often like league music and the league thing since the entirety of all of the league music ever, not just like the esports stuff, but like the actual champion themes and stuff is all on Spotify. So I have a daily mix in Spotify that's just all that stuff that's kind of around all the time. So I've listened to all of the world's themes a lot. Um just for context, I think it's interesting. Steven, which one is your favorite of all time? Which is your favorite world's anthem? If you had to pick one.
Oh man, I think it has to be Ignite or I don't want to say Warriors because Warriors isn't the best one, but it might be Legends Never Die, but I think that's kind of cheesy.
Eric.
legends never die. Yeah, yeah.
I think I like
When the
Ignite more
world's
though.
calling you. Yeah.
Eric, what's yours?
No, it's definitely legends never die. Like
Mine is also Legends Never Die, and
it gets stuck in
I
your
think
head.
that
It's
shapes
so great.
the point I'm making is I think that shapes how you look at this because like as plenty of people have pointed out, it's cookie cutter following the pattern of Legends Never Die, and that is what it is. But I like that cookie.
Yeah.
I like that cookie a lot, so I'm in favor of doing the cookie cutter. Good with me. So yeah, just I think that like how you view this, I think is shaded a little by how you feel about previous things. And like Legends Never Die being my favorite one of all time, yeah. If you like use the same structure, vocal stylings, and formula, and maybe same key as Legends Never Die, I'm like, like it is a little repetitive, but also that hits the sweet spot for me, and I'm good with it. So go off. So like that's the counter argument I've had to a lot of the discussion I've seen around the last couple of days is like, yeah, all of your criticisms are fair, but also the reason they did it is because shills like me like that shit, and there's a lot of us, so hate more.
We are Legion. We are Legend.
Steven mentioned Arcane. I want to talk about Arcane at the end of the show after we do world stuff because we should talk about it, but let's get our real shit out of the way first. So that's your teaser for listening all the way to the end as we'll talk about the Arcane trailer and thoughts about that. We're gonna start as world starts with play-ins. I believe these games start in like not very many days. God, when is the first?
I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday, but
So in like 6
Tuesday,
days.
October 5th. Yes.
Yeah, so in like 6 days, play-in games start. So we're going to talk about the play-in stage first. I think that we talked in our little bit of prep that we did before this that there's not actually that much interesting in these groups, and I do think that is true. But it is important to like acknowledge what we do know about the teams that are involved, even though I think some of this is going to be somewhat less interesting to go through. So let's start with Group A, which I think is the less interesting one to go through. The format, if you've forgotten, is 4 of the 5 teams get through the group stage. One team is eliminated after groups. One team goes straight into the world's group stage. The top team in the group stage goes straight through. 2, 3, and 4 of each group go into a bracket. So only one team is eliminated right after groups. So the first order of business is who's out right away. So the teams in Group A are Hanwha Life Esports from the LCK, LNG Esports from the LPL, Infinity Esports from Latin America, Peace from the LCO in Australia, and Red Canids from CBLOL in Brazil. So let me just start off to say it is a battle for first between HLE and LNG. That is very obvious. I don't think that is going to be different. And I think that the HLE LNG spot game is going to be a game for who's getting through and doesn't have to play in the bracket stage. Any disagreements there?
No. Man is Tarzan versus Chovy and play-ins hype. Gotta love that X Griffin energy going up on this.
I can't believe they're like you put the LCK team and the LPL team in the same group with this, and that's a little sus, but
A little sus.
Little sus, but you know, anything to shill for NA. Am I right?
Well, to be fair, it's also like at least two of the weaker like play-in region teams in this group as well. So it's like it's very polarizing because Red Canids is clearly like the follow-up team in this group.
I strongly disagree.
Oh, you think Peace you're shilling for the OS roster with Chachi and
No,
Bobip and Tally?
I think they're going to be terrible.
Okay.
Like the Peace fact you need to understand is like they so they finished 5th with a losing record in the regular season in the LCO.
Oh boy.
And then went straight through the gauntlet. Beat teams 4-3-2-1 all in best of fives to go through. And that's great for them. They are not the best team from the LCO, and the LCO is already arguably the worst of the developing regions because NA stole all their best talent. I would be shocked if Peace wins a game in this group, Chachi or no Chachi, and having to like, regardless of the fact that Chachi is probably just going to be very good, you're integrating a new player into your team 3 weeks before Worlds, who you've never played with and who hasn't played professionally in a year and a half.
Yeah, head swap to coaching.
I would be shocked if they win a game. Like, I am a longtime OPL LCO shill. I have been very clear about this. I do not think Peace are going to do very well. I will be pleasantly surprised if they do. I think they're going to be last in the group.
I think it'd be hilarious if they sandbagged someone though by taking the game and.
It'll be, and if they do, it's Red Canids.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Or just like forcing a tiebreaker in the upper bracket by accidentally taking a game off the top. That would be.
There's some hilarious, weird history between the Australian teams and the Brazilian teams in these lower tier tournaments, and it's like that's the blue shell that's going to happen. It's like Red Canids Peace is going to be hilarious. And like Red Canids themselves too, like
they're a fresher team from Brazil than we've seen. Like in a lot of ways. Like I don't recognize these names from repeat runs. This isn't a BRTT roster. Like so there's a fresh look. It's it'll be interesting, you know, because like you know, is this an 016 top laner kind of team, or is this going to be a roster that can manage to hold up in the pressure?
And let me run through your regular season facts for Red Canids, because I did know this too. Red Canids finished 6th in CBLOL in the regular season in Split 2. Their path to getting into Worlds was they beat Flamengo, who were the 3 seed, then they beat the 2 seed, and then the number 1 seed Pain Gaming, who you might have expected to see here, got beaten by the 4 seed in the semis. So they didn't even have to play the best team in the league to get to Worlds, and we're the 6th best team in the regular season. So like they're also, it's fresh blood, but it might also not be very good.
and they're in this group with Hanwha Life and LNG, who are like in kind of similar spots, only in like the LPL and the LCK.
where like
Slightly different caliber.
and this is the thing about it, right? Is like it's out of 5 teams, it's 3 tiers. It's HLE and LNG at the top, Red Canids and Peace at the bottom, and then like I think Infinity has a really really decent chance to solid third because they should be better than both the other 2 developing region teams, if by only the fact that they have players with Worlds experience on their team.
Yeah.
Like, if only that, like White
White
Lotus has
Lotus,
been to
Solid
Worlds.
Snake. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a very experienced roster.
White Lotus has appeared at MSI 3 times, Worlds once. Like, has been playing pro at a high level for 5 years at this point. It's just the experience at this point, and like I'm willing to be surprised, but I think Infinity, regardless of the quality of the league, should get third in this group. Should.
Yes.
But the what even is the league called these days since they combined?
It's 3 letters.
It's the LLA, that's right. Yeah, and that's the other like consideration is regular season Infinity finished top of their league 11-3 and won their best of 5 against the second place team to get to Worlds. Like they were the best team in their region.
And they have a long-standing regime of that region for a while now, yeah?
Yeah, it's been like R7 got through last year, but I think it was if I remember last year's discussion right, it was an upset for R7 to get into Worlds over Infinity because Infinity was the best team at that point. So like I have decently high expectations for Infinity with zero like VOD review, any serious analysis at all, just based on the competition through Summer Split, which is what we often see a lot of this based on. They should be third in this group, like pretty comfortably. We'll see if it pans out, but like that is my call is Infinity, Red, Peace, 3, 4, 5. Now, Eric, who wins the group?
Oof. I want to give it to LNG. I felt that they had a stronger reaction and looked better in their playoff and gauntlet run than Hanwha Life did, who were also aided by other teams like absolutely falling apart and not knowing how the game worked. So like I want to give it to LNG. I could definitely see the Chovy show taking full swing in those games.
HLE being in this tournament is entirely because of Chovy, in case that wasn't clear to you. I have talked at long length about how frustrating HLE have been to watch for the entire year. I did not expect them to get out of the LCK to make it even this far. I still don't think they're very good, but they have arguably one of the 3 best players on the planet. And that matters.
Yeah, because
their top side is not good. It's just not good.
Yep.
I don't know how much nicer I can phrase that. They're bad.
Yeah, and like Deft hasn't been having the best split, but can still be consistent. It really has just been Chovy popping off and then like hard 1v9 carries.
Yep. And he's that good. Like and Deft, to Deft's credit, Deft played as well as he has the entirety of 2021 in the gauntlet to get them in. Like he showed up at the right time and got them here. But I don't trust them at all.
I think them being the first match on Tuesday will be quite telling. And who will tilt off the face of the earth, or who's going to pick up on the meta.
What's really fascinating is how much getting first in the group in these playing groups matters. because like I could definitely see Hanwha Life taking their first game against LNG in the group stage, and then just riding that into getting the buy into the outer realms, and then all of a sudden Cloud9's sweating bullets the entire play-in stage to try and juke having to run into LNG in knockouts, and that's because like that's the other factor, right? Is like getting the freebie out of the group means so much, and that's entirely best of ones. Like it's a lot harder to call it in this stage than actually in like playing knockouts, where it's like if they came to a head-to-head in a best of 3, I'd give it to LNG every time, but like I can't do it on the play-in like group stage. Who knows?
Yeah,
I do trust LNG a little bit more. I will say it.
Yeah, because like
I maybe shouldn't, but I do.
well, what LNG is in the camp of teams that did really good game prep for metas and for team opponents and strategies, and that's not actually as good in this one game set round robin. It's much better in the knockouts. So like, so this is the time if HLE were to like get the upper hand on them. It's when you're in the best of one. You just you just stomp a mid lane and you take over the game that way. You like win mid to win jungle, and then you put Tarzan behind because that's how you beat LNG. Is you put Tarzan in the dumpster.
The
and
reverse of that is Tarzan and Ale just can't Morgan top lane.
Yeah.
And Ale's really good. And Tarzan is better than HLE's jungler. Like I think LNG play it through topside. Like it doesn't matter what weird mixture of HLE's topside they bother to play, because they've been shuffling jungle and top the whole year. Like
it's normally like Morgan and Willer, right? Isn't that what it was?
It's Morgan Willer, I think, has been the most recent one, but they've played like I think they've done Morgan Johan a bit. I think they've done Dudu Johan a bit. Like they've got both. I'm assuming they brought everybody to Worlds because I think you could bring 2 subs this year.
Yeah.
But like I don't care who it is. Ale Tarzan are better than anything they can come up with by a lot. So I think LNG just plays through topside and wins. So that's my take. I think HLE gets out, LNG second, Infinity third, Red fourth. And then I do think HLE is gonna win their best of 5, but I'm willing to be surprised as we shift our way over to talk about Group B. Because we have Eric, how much do you believe in this year's iteration of UOL?
A bit. It's very similar to last year's iteration of UOL, for the record. Like this is a very similar roster. This is the team that Chachi was helping coach, I believe, going into like part of the season, and now they don't have him helping out anymore. Instead, it's just this roster coming back. They might have some struggles. Like this is also like a similar DFM to MSI and from last year, and they have
it's almost the same team, isn't it?
Yeah, and they've consistently been getting better. Like Arya's pretty bonkers. So like, so kind of unlike the other group, which felt a bit more like roughshod. Like this is a pretty tough group because Beyond Gaming is like the second seed out of PCS, and like this is the team with Doggo, who people might remember, who's pretty good. It's Doggo and Kino. Like this is like a known element. This is the much more contested group in a lot of ways because like there's this DFM who's coming in strong. It's the same UOL roster with a lot of power. This isn't like you have to remember this isn't the gadget UOL. This is the post gadget version with Logic, so it's going to be more standard ADCs. And then it's this Beyond team, which has a strong ADC, has a strong overall team. And then I don't know much about the Turkish team, but I do know that the Turkish teams do tend to be like the better teams that we expect to maybe make it out and into the group, into the into like the main group stage. So like there's a lot of there's a lot of teams here who could contest.
So you will recognize Bolulu on Galatasaray. Bolulu played
Yeah.
for Supermassive last year at Worlds, and has been around a minute.
And I think I've seen Irian around, but I think he's
That's a familiar name.
Yeah.
And Gala did finish 15-3 regular season, won playoffs comfortably over other teams. Had Mojito, their jungler, was the MVP of the league, with 7 MVPs during the regular season. And like they are, based on reputation alone, you pick them 5th, but TCL teams have shown plenty in the past to not be underestimated. So this group, I think, is much harder to call. You would expect Beyond and C9 to finish top 2 in some order, but I think the tiers in this group are a lot less clear, because I mean, we saw DFM beat a Korean team last year, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm putting money down on Cloud9 losing that first game to Detonation Focus Me.
This is the concern for C9, particularly based on the form they've shown this year, is I can see C9 losing to every team in this group.
Yes.
100%. Like, if they are not on their shit, I can see C9 losing to every single team in this group.
The week 1 sandbag to come into week 2 and then have some like tiebreaker that's not dependent on their gameplay.
More concerned about the week 1 come in with a strat and week 2 throw every game C9 special, personally.
Either way, like, you can't afford for that, especially because like getting out first in this group means so much, because you do not want to have to play a team from the other group in the knockout stage.
Well, and it's getting out second. I would be okay playing Infinity or Peace in a best of 5, because that's what you would get as second place in this group. If you get second, you play the winner of 3rd and 4th from the other group. So in our projection, Infinity or Infinity Red, I had Infinity Red plays a best of 5. You, as the second place team in B, get to play 1 best of 5 against the winner of that series for your spot in group stage. I don't care. Like, this is the tiering of the groups, right? I don't care which one of these 5 teams gets second in the groups. Whoever gets second in this group should get through, because I think they're going to have a great matchup. You don't want to get 3rd or 4th.
No.
3rd or 4th in this group, you are playing probably HLE for a playoff spot. Do you want to play a best of 5 against Chovy for a spot in the group stage?
To be fair, like, isn't that Perks' sweet spot though? Like, isn't that when Perks comes online in like an elimination best of 5?
The playoffs. How'd that go?
Well, like, I mean, against an LCK team, you know, you have to like add in against a team from LCK. Like, you know, you trust Perks to show up and bring the chaos.
Yep.
And then you know, Blebber dies to Scuttle, and then it's a different story. But you know, it's
I honestly, like, if we're thinking C9 might get 3rd in this group, which I think is possible, I'd rather see LNG in the BO5, because I think that's a less crap matchup for your team. Honestly,
that's fair. It really is. That'd actually be a sick match. Actually,
like, I think
getting
that'd be
a
a
best
really
of
fun
5,
matchup.
because like Tarzan Ale versus Blebber Fudge would be pretty fun. With like Perks getting to lane against, you know, in my opinion, like one of LNG's like weaker points of the map, and then yeah, like it'd be pretty cool.
Yep. I think that would be a more interesting matchup. I think C9 playing at the highest potential of all 5 of their players could win either of those matchups with HLE or with LNG. I firmly believe that. But they haven't shown 100% potential very much this year at all in any way, which is why I don't trust them to get second in this group. Like, if I'm picking, I'm going chalk and I'm picking beyond C9 to go 1-2. But I don't feel great about it. Like, if I was picking just to pick, I might pick UOL too. Like, straight up. Like, I think what I would say in my heart of hearts, I think the odds I feel best about are beyond 1, C9 3, somebody else 2. I don't know who yet, but that's how I feel. So
I get that. I think I'm still C9-1. I just like, even with Beyond being the second seed, I'd like them being able to have a good enough comparative record to edge it out. And Beyond 2 makes a lot of sense. Like, those two are like the clear front runners here, unless UOL or DFM can like really pull out some magic.
which DFM can. So I like
I like that's the
that's
thing.
why I put C9 like second, like maybe even third, just off of like botching it. Because like I don't know, they're icy cold coming into this too.
C9 third is the pick I feel best about. I don't know how or what's gonna break it down. I think C9 3 is the best pick I feel. I don't trust them, not even a little bit.
It'd be nice to be wrong though. It'd be cool to see it.
I
Them
would
just
love
kind
to
of
be
like,
wrong. I don't trust them.
yeah, it's kind of a yikes. When I saw them in Detonation in the same group, I was like,
Like, I think the developing region teams in Group B are better, and I think the records in their regular seasons back that up.
it's a spicy
For all
script.
three of them.
Whoever
Like,
wrote this script for Worlds is giving us a treat.
I do. Here's my one fun thing before we move on. What do you think in Group A, best of ones? What do you think the shortest game time is going to be in one of those games? Because I think that some of the games in that group are going to be the least competitive games in the entire tournament.
I
So
think
what
we'll
is the
see.
shortest game time you're going to call?
22.
19.
I was gonna say 22 too. Like, I could, like, I don't. The part of the problem I have with going for like an 18-minute is that like I don't think Hanwha or LNG win that fast. Like, is my thing. Like, if this was like a top esports coming in here,
Yeah,
or
if
like,
Top had gotten the 4 seed and got to play this group, that would
yeah,
be really
like
funny.
then I'd be saying like, my 18, maybe 17, like if we're getting really down on the wire. But like, these teams are like more controlled in general. So I like Stevens 22 a lot.
Okay.
It's a
Yeah, I'm
it's a
calling
nice
19.
number.
I think we're going to get at least one sub 20 game out of that group. That's my call.
You think Dancing Shelly?
Eh,
No Dancing Shelly.
I don't think
Okay.
that. I think 19, but no Dancing Shelly. I
Okay.
think that's my call. I think they're gonna. I think whoever's winning is gonna get it early enough that it's not gonna last until the end of the game, just because the big map control.
Yep.
Okay, let's talk about the more familiar teams to us that I have done less research about. So the big group stage. Again, each of these groups are going to be augmented by a team from the play-in stage. Um, Obviously, as per usual rules, there cannot be a team from the same region in the same group. So there's a pretty good idea if we assume that the play-ins go chalk and beyond C9, Hanwha Life, and LNG are the 4 teams to come out. It's pretty set how that's gonna go, I think. Um, like there's a very clear like, having not looked at this at all, there's a very clear distribution of how that's going to go. Like Group A, for example, has Dom1, FPX, Rogue, and
Cloud9.
does it have to be
Cloud.
C9?
That would be
It has to
great.
be Cloud9.
It has to be C9
Yeah.
unless
Well, it has to
something
be.
goes.
It has to be Cloud9 because Group C has to have HLE. So Group C is going to be PSG Talon, Fnatic, RNG, and HLE, and
Like
that's locked.
it's you the wrench that can be thrown is if a developing region team gets through, because that throws everything out haywire, as we saw last year, I think. But if we assume chalk for this, which we can basically do, Group A is likely to be Dom1, FPX, Rogue, and C9. C9 06 done.
Yeah, from Group A.
In this group, 06. I don't care.
Well, now you're having to make me be like an NA protector or something.
Yep,
Like, come
I
on,
am.
come on. All right,
I am. I'm
so
doing
the one
that.
thing I'll call out with like this Worlds that's going to be interesting is that in the playoffs in all the major regions, we saw a huge like point of conflict and contention later in the bracket between teams who were very like meta set or meta stable, had like a specific way they play the game, and teams who were like very fluid and came in with counter pick and counter strategies. And so I think that a big thing going into like all of these groups is going to be like, what type of meta are we seeing play here? Is there something that's super strong that then these teams are going to opt into and all focus on? Or is it actually going to be more adaptive in how teams are playing this game? And if it's adaptive, um, there is at least one team in this group who is very bad at that. And I would see C9 being able to win some games. If it is a very
And there's one team in this group who is the best team in the world at that, which is the problem. Because Fun Plus Phoenix is the team that does that.
Well, I don't know. I view them as typically meta set, where like how they play the game is very stable. Like they do and be roams, and then you create pressure through your side lanes based off of do and be like playing these roaming champions and then syncing up with
Is if
Crisp
Do and Be
and
gets to
Ian.
set the meta for the group, that's going to be a problem for everybody else, and that's what's
Oh,
going to happen.
definitely. Well, like it's what teams set meta inside the world's bubble, right? Because here's all these teams. They're in Iceland. They're trying to play on shitty hotel internet, scrimming each other. Who's setting the meta? Like, how do all these teams like in their brain tank figure out what they should be doing going into this world? And is it Showmaker and Chovy who are like setting the play style? Is it Doinby who's setting the play style? Is it more open because they have to play both of them? Because like if you have to lose to Doinby day 1 and Showmaker day 2, like you'll have a pretty wide open expectation of what you can lose to inside of this tournament. Is just gonna be
Like
how I'd phrase
the
it.
point that I will make about Do and Be that I have made before is Do and Be's going to set a meta whether you like it or not, and it just depends on when other people catch up to it. Let's recall the Tank Rise build. Do and Be was the first player in the world to do that like 2 months before anybody else started doing it. He's going to set his own meta, and it just depends on if anybody else follows him. Nobody else plays Glad. Doesn't matter. That's Do and Be meta. You know who I think is going to be really good at Trendemir mid, if that is indeed a meta pick? The guy who plays melee AD mid laners who roam all the time.
I'm a little less confident in you that's like that. Like I totally get that that's how FPX is going to play, but that's what I mean by them being more meta solid. Like even if like Do and Be will make it what they play, they're gonna play that style. Whereas I don't think Damwon are going to do that. Damwon will play whatever the hell they feel like playing in any of these games because they have been shown to do that in playoff games already and at MSI and you know they've done all kinds of nonsense. And so like they're very fluid. Like they're not going to play set play style. So it's like who wins out and how the meta shapes it really impacts primarily how Rogue plays. Because like if this is a set play style group, Rogue will probably look decent. If this is a fluid, whoever the hell knows what's going on group, Rogue is going to look atrocious, as has been like pretty clear from their playoff runs that they don't know what to do when things get crazy.
and I should not be drinking Rogue Kool-Aid still after that playoffs, but I don't care. Perks is the worst mid laner in this group. Bite me.
Oh no, I won't fight you on that one. But like
Perks is the worst mid laner in this group, and that's hilarious.
Yeah, like what Perks brings to the table is not going to be laning. It's going to be like late game decision making, knowing what to do in that scenario. And the only time that matters is if Rogue gets like trashed in some early mid game nonsense and then just like falls apart like they have. And so like that's where I'd give C9 the edge in that matchup. Not if there's a playbook. If there's a playbook, it's pretty set. And that's how it goes.
Percent chance that either Rogue or C9 gets out of this group. Eric, name
like
number.
0.
0.
Oh,
Steven,
yeah.
name
Yeah,
number.
0.
0.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so then who do you take top?
Ooh.
I think
Because we've
Damwon.
seen that matter a lot in the bracket stage.
I think
Yeah.
Damwon.
I'm going FPX, just based off of gut check for what I think the meta is gonna be like. But like it's really hard to say. I think
Consider
it's
that
more
2 votes for FPX.
the odds. The odds are higher to me that Damwon throws a game in groups.
Yep. And among things that we've seen about Damwon this year that they may or may not have fixed, I don't trust their bot lane. And I trust FPX's bot lane more.
That's terrifying. Trusting LWX more than another bot laner. Like, what's going on here?
This isn't good.
There's some sus activity in this group. That's all I've got to
Ghost
say.
isn't good.
There's some sus activity in this group.
Like that is where I think I
Rogue
think
has a
things are
huge
interesting.
advantage.
Is there Hansama may be the best ADC in this group.
Yeah, I don't think that's a contest, actually.
Which I think is an interesting. If Rogue can manage to abuse that in any meaningful way, that's their win condition. Because there are weak bot lanes in this group.
The problem I've seen with like with that equation is that like the ADC from the LPL who Hansama reminds me the most of is Jackie Love, who is also atrocious at like getting enormous CS lades in lane and then like absolutely throwing mid and late game by like just being too hubris. Like I am Draven, king of the world, come at me in mid lane, oh I'm dead. And then your team loses your game and then you don't even make it to worlds again. And so it's like this is like that's my problem with that strat is like it seems like it plays into Rogue's flaws, which is like so tragic. Like Rogue wins when you can have Larson and Inspired do their calculated like almost chess mastery jungle mid nonsense to just like slowly destroy the game, where you're just like applying pressure in this bubble.
And
And
Damwon
then
and
like
FPX are two of the worst teams in the world to try to do that too.
yeah.
Yep. So I think FPX 1, Damwon 2. Eric, I think, agrees. Steven thinks the opposite. It's going to be one of those two ways. I'd be shocked if it's anything else.
Yeah. Here's a curious thing that I just thought about. What if Cloud9 doesn't really want to play anymore and don't get out of play-in stage because they know they have to go into Group A and they just won't try?
Then I think whoever gets out instead of them goes into this group and gets 06.
So like
because like HLE will go into C.
Right.
And then
LNG
will go into D. Yeah.
So then like it's if those two get out and then Beyond can theoretically go into either A or B. So if it's C9, they actually have to draw who. If it's not C9, they actually have to draw who goes into A and who goes into B. I think Beyond gets 06 in this group if they go in, and I think literally any other team from the play-ins gets 06 if they go into this group. Like that is the problem with it is I feel very confident that HLE and LNG are both going to get out, which means that C and D are locked.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, okay.
Yeah. Have we seen like a disgusting group like this? I think this is probably the most prestigious talent pool in a single group I think I've ever seen in Worlds.
It's literally the last two world champions.
Right.
Like the last two world champions, and then it's like the regular season top seed of EU, and then it's guaranteed an NA seed, so it's 4 major regions in this group, and yeah, it's pretty sick.
And and you get the NA team from play-ins against those 3 other teams.
We'll get to it more when we talk about the other groups, but I think every single one of these groups is gas, and we'll have like some absolutely sick games inside of them. Like if you just think about like the styles of the teams that are matching up, and like the pedigree of the players involved and what's happening, like it's going to be straight gas. Like I'm really excited for this Worlds from like the quality of games once we get to this group stage.
So with that said, let's move to Group B, which I think Group B is going to be fascinating.
Yeah.
Just because there are very different styles in this group, and the eras in this group, almost, with Faker being here and 100 Thieves with Someday, but also with Awadaga being here. Like, the time span that this falls is such an interesting thing. So this is EDG, 100 Thieves, T1, and we assume Beyond, because this is where Beyond will go if things go chalk. This is so interesting because I have been a doubter of EDG all year long, even as good as they've been throughout, and they have just proved it time after time after time after time. And they're here, and I still just have misgivings about them, but I have the same misgivings about both 100T and T1. I do not feel really good about any of these three teams, even though EDG have gone out and won the LPL.
Yeah, and 100 Thieves has really, really showcased how strong they are. Even, like, I mean, there's a lot of equity here as far as, like, brand goes. Like
T1 EDG is 2015 MSI. Like, that is 6 years ago. Like Faker and Pawn, the countering
Yeah.
Faker's LeBlanc, one of the most classic moments of, I can't even say recent anymore. God, like
Mm-mm.
that was an incredible moment in in the history of competitive League of Legends. Is Faker losing on LeBlanc, and now it's not any of the same players except Faker. Like I will. So question number one is, if EDG clinches a playoff spot quickly or clinches their seed, will they throw Clear Love in for a game to try and get him a skin?
I think you have to.
Maybe.
Or like, will they try to play
In a
Clear
best
Love
of
against,
5, absolutely,
will
yes.
they try to play Clear Love against either 100T or Beyond to try and
So
um
so here's the only catch. Clear Love is not listed on their team page.
will that stop them?
Yeah, yes. Yes, it will 100%, I think, stop them because I think that's the rules. I think this is the only way that stops them.
Details.
I don't think they got him to Iceland, so that would be the no.
Unfortunate. I thought for sure if anyone would try it, it would be them and Clear Love, because Clear Love.
Yeah.
Eric, how do you see this group playing out?
So so going back to my thing about how does the meta shape out for this Worlds, I think this group is really one of the things that makes this group really interesting is that EDG and 100 Thieves were both teams that did well in playoffs off of like adapting to the opposing team's strategies, and then countering them very well, both in pick ban and then in gameplay. Where like 100 Thieves, like pretty hard out drafted and then outplayed TL in like the finals of NA. Just like hard 1-3-0 off of like just putting Alfari in the dumpster. And that was like 100% just like a great gameplay strategy and how
Yeah.
they approached the match. And it's like, and so when they come in like that, and EDG did a similar thing in their final, like where they just had a good read on what the opposing team was trying to do, and then they crushed them.
Which
And like,
honestly no one really saw coming, regardless of EDG being the top team from the regular season. FPX was in such good form going into that nobody saw EDG winning that, and then they did.
And then so like both of those I thought of as like technical upsets if you're looking at teams with stable play, but then it's more than that. It's like, how do you intuit and perceive the game? What's your strategy? How do you adapt? And they did really well, and both of them won finals that they weren't expected to, on the backs of just, superior, like not necessarily coaching, but like the game prep. And I think T1 also has decent game prep. It's their in game that's really questionable at times. So like this is a very cerebral group, is what I would say. And so I'm really excited to see how these teams play out, especially if it's a more open meta. Like, what are the games going to look like here? What are we going to see some like really like deep pick ban strats come out in this? I'm not necessarily thinking wacky picks, because this is not a group for wacky picks necessarily, although Flandre is here. But like it's more that I'm expecting things to like I'm expecting teams to try really hard.
Yeah, I honestly, my hot take on this group is that I don't think T1 will do as well as anticipated. I think that 100 Thieves and EDG really show their preparation going into this and take really clean best of ones more often than not. And I really don't think that T1 will hold together if they get an early loss in the rotations.
My hot
So
take with
what's your as good as anticipated? Sorry, like what do you mean by that?
because I don't think people have very high expectations for them because they
No.
weren't very good for most of the year. So I think it will always be a surprise when a Korean team does not make it out of the group stage of Worlds. For the foreseeable future, that is just a fact.
Yeah.
But if there is a team that is expected to not progress through, I don't feel great about either T1 or HLE. We'll get to HLE when we talk about Group C, but like I don't trust anyone on this team except Faker. I don't trust that they know who their best five are. And it was the problem all year. Like it's been team. It's why we didn't really think that they like either they or HLE. They were up in the standings. They did enough, but I thought other teams had better shots at getting to Worlds than they did, and they clutched it out, which is why they're here. But and lest we forget, Faker is Faker is Faker is Faker is Faker.
Well. So here is this. Will you say they're are
How
they?
much that matters is what's going to be the thing.
So where do you place them? Are they third? Are they really third in this group?
The hot take that I was going to say is I think there is a tiebreaker in this group. I think there will be a tiebreaker played on the last day. I think T1 will be in it. I'm not sure I'm ready to say they're third, but I'm leaning that way.
I think that this group is going to be one of the two groups that's going to have a three-way massive tiebreaker fiesta.
Like that's the vibe I'm getting from this group is like I don't even necessarily think it is because EDG should be the best team in this group by all accounts.
Yeah.
But I just have weird vibes about them.
I'm firmly saying that T1 is third. I think the other teams are way too consistent and way too capable of picking up to the meta or just like establishing a game plan that's going to be effective against the other. And I think that's going to boil down to who T1 happens to get their wins against. I don't think they'll go like 06. But I think it's really going to boil down to who can read T1, and they will be third safely.
One of the other big things with this group will be like going back to the meta considerations is Scout looks really good on assassin oriented metas or Rise, and that's it. So like so if EDG is forced into a position where he can't play LeBlanc or Rise, and then they have to go back to more like traditional control mages, EDG's stock plummets pretty drastically if he's on like Orianna duty. So like follow the mid lane pool, see what mid laners are playing, and that'll definitely shape how Scout ends up approaching in these games.
Rise is an important pick in this group, given Abba also likes him some Rise.
And Faker.
And Faker. I don't know about Beyond's mid laner, sorry.
Yeah. Like I think it's pretty safe to say that Beyond should not be like having having ability to contest out of fourth seed. Like they can probably win a game.
Seen surprising things from PCS teams before, but
and that's another reason. Like I think, like T1 is easily third. Is I think they can actually drop a game to Beyond just because like
it is the history. Speaking of the PCS, let's talk about Group C. In which we find the number one seed from the PCS, PSG Talon, Fnatic, Royal Never Give Up, and we assume Hanwha Life Esports. PSG are rolling in here with the same roster that they played with last year and did reasonably well with.
And from MSI, which they did very well at. Yeah.
Yep. Like they are a legitimate number one seed team and should be treated as such. And I have never trusted Fnatic. Not even once.
Fair.
This is the problem is like we have teams that I trust and teams that I don't trust generally based on viewing this year. This team is PSG Talon and 3 teams I have no trust in.
Yeah. It's
None.
like HLE,
None, zero.
it's RNG, it's Fnatic, but like this is a fiesta. This group is nuts. Like
Yeah.
like I'm so pumped to watch games in this group because I have no idea who's gonna win anything. It's gonna be a complete cluster. Like how good is top
PSG
lane?
goes first is my clear call.
Yeah.
And I hate that that's how I feel about it, but like
It sure
I
feels
don't
that way.
I don't I I I I just fuck Xiao Top. It works.
That's my only nitpick with that is that they have a really bad matchup against RNG, in my opinion. Just as far as like where their team strengths are on the map. So like I could see PSG Talon like dropping games to RNG. And so then from there it depends on how these other teams in games shake out. I think they have a great HLE matchup. I think that they theoretically have a decent Fnatic matchup. So like yeah, like PSG Talon making it out like in 1 seed, they're definitely making it out makes sense. But then with these other 3 teams, it's who knows? Who knows? What Fnatic shows up? Is Olaf top viable in this meta?
How does
Find
Adam
out.
respond to playing in his first Worlds?
Yeah.
I think is a question we have to ask because like we go from Group A where every player in the entire group I think has played at Worlds before except
Me.
Fudge.
Well, and Trimby, yeah.
Oh yeah, and so Fudge and Trimby, and that's like the entire like 11 players in the group played in the World Finals. Like,
Disgusting.
and then like EDG, you have some. They're like Group B. 100 Thieves has some players who haven't been quite this far. T1 has some players who haven't been quite this far. EDG has some players who haven't been quite this far. Beyond has a bunch who haven't. But then, like PSG's returning a roster that has played at Worlds at MSI. Fnatic has
A team.
3 out of 5.
Well, like this is Upset's first Worlds.
It's Upset's Worlds too, yeah.
Yeah. So like it's Bwipo, Hilly, and Niski coming back, yeah.
Yep.
And like I don't know, it's so crazy. Like one of my biggest concerns with Fnatic going into playoffs was how's Bwipo jungle gonna stack up to like the best junglers in the LEC, and it turns out pretty damn well. Was the answer. So like that relieves some of my concerns. This time he's gonna be up against River and Wei as like jungle opponents, which is a step up. But he's also got Willer or whoever, so it'll be interesting. Like, and that like the other thing is that like we know Fnatic and RNG will always fight, always. Like this is there are a couple of very high octane teams in this group who are just gonna like step on the gas. We're behind, doesn't matter. We're still turret diving you top lane. We're gonna turret dive you past your second turret top lane in the RNG case. And so like we've got that on one side, and on the other side we have like HLE and PSG Talon. So like I don't know, it'll be fun.
And the other power dynamic here that is worth considering is Chovy is the best individual player in this group. I don't know how much it will matter.
When like every other player on the team is like outranked by like 3 people. Yeah.
Like Chovy is the single best player in this group. But
However,
I like
it's
it,
kind of sad that we're getting Chovy in like the group with like RNG of the LPL teams, because like if we had gotten Chovy in the group with like like Doinby or with like Scout, even like we could like see some like
if we could have swapped Dom1 and PSG Talon, so that they could have been in the group with FPX and Rogue and FPX Rogue C9. Or no, they would have been in with PSG, FPX, and Rogue.
But like
that's sick.
get Chovy a good mid lane matchup. But like instead it's like he's going up against like Niski, who's like a more of like a team support. Like it's like Niski's job is to follow around Bwippo, so that when Bwippo wins, he's there. And like, you know, and like when we talk about RNG, like got like names. Cryan's job is to gank for is to gank for top lane. You know, like like here's Chovy, who's like gonna be set up to like lane kingdom, and then he's not gonna have anyone in his lane for like any of these games.
Well, and then like you have Royal bot lane, which has a little bit of the Jackie Love syndrome too. Gala likes him to jump in a little bit and die.
Yeah.
And yeah, like this is a fascinating group because I really Royal probably should get second. I think I would call them getting second if I were picking. But this can go bad anyway. Like, I mean, Royal won MSI this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're a good team, but like, I don't know.
I think it'd be hilarious for Fnatic to like do really well and perform. I think that would just be the dankest timeline.
Oh yeah, it would be so spicy. As G2 like burns to the ground and
yeah, I like that would be
oh yeah.
That in its own would just like completely devastate the roster moves like that come up following Worlds in the
Yeah, we're not talking roster moves right now.
No. I'm just saying, but if they did
G2 drama, go read Reddit.
I know it's all there, but Carlos, don't hit me. But
Carlos, he who tweets fake news today. Oh, you've fallen so far, my friend.
But no, I think it's just hilarious. Like Fnatic doing some interesting maneuvers is here, and like I think they stand a really good chance, and like this looks like a good group for them to be
and
in.
like there's also a world where like Royal is the best team in this group, which again they won MSI this year with this roster. They can clearly play at the international level and have done so. They've got the track record. I don't trust them. And like there is a world, I don't think the meta will fall this way, but if you can get like real hard carry assassins in the mid lane meta, if we can have some like fat Akali meta again like we did in spring, Chovy can hard carry a team out of this group.
But
the meta has to fall right for him to be able to 1v9 a game.
I don't know if you
Like,
saw
it's
the
not even
music
just a
video,
hit,
but
it
I'm
has to
pretty
be a meta
sure
if he's gonna be playing like Lulu or Orianna, it just doesn't work like that in 2021 in League.
I'm pretty sure the script says Orianna right here in the music video. They said Orianna.
Corky. It's World. Corky.
World, stop blocking Corky.
I'm blocking Corky. You've seen
Corky is here. It's here.
It's like Corky and Orianna buffs coming to the Worlds every year. We know what time it is. Okay, last.
Oh, does the fourth team kind of contribute to like how this shakes out if they pick off someone?
Well, that was HLE, so that's the Chovy team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about this whole time.
Well, I get that.
Yafu.
I understand that, but like, does they like who if they pick off someone, like, do they? How far do they go up?
Oh well, HLE, like David said, could make it out if the meta's good.
I think they can make it out of this group, but they need
How
Chovy to be able to 1v9.
Yeah, but could he go to first? Can he go all the way? Do they climb over the corpses of people falling apart? No.
I don't think PSG will choke out of getting out of this group, but I could see them choking out of being first. Like, this is when the pick'ems fall, I will pick PSG first in this group and feel very good about it.
Okay.
I will not feel good about who I pick second. So the last group, speaking of interesting playstyle matchups here, I like this group and how the playstyles are going to stack up. We have Mad Lions, we have Gen G Esports, we have Team Liquid, and we probably have LNG Esports. Steven, how do you feel?
I feel like if we play well, we will do well. If we don't play well and do dumb stuff, uh, we will not do well. Like I think this is like one of the more ideal groups for me as a Liquid fan. But we have to really beat Mad Lions like consistently to do well.
I don't think Mad's who you need to worry about.
Yeah, but you can't drop games to Mad. That's the issue. It's who is
That's true.
dropping.
Mad's going to win the group.
Okay.
You worry about your second place. Mad's going to win the group.
Yeah.
Eric, how do you feel?
So going to the playstyle thing and like what you and Steven were harping on there, like we have Mad Lions who can throw early games, but then win no matter what at like roughly 30 to 5 minutes. So you have to like stomp them and then continue stomping them and then try and win before 35. We have Genji who will get a lead no matter what and then will lose no matter what. So you just like don't lose at 15 and then you'll win at 35. And then we have LNG, who's like a sane, rational team, who you just try and stop Tarzan from carrying. That's what we're working with here for TL. So I agree with David that like Mad Lions is like gonna probably dumpster this group, and then it's really a free for all for who gets out second, and I think TL has good odds.
I do too. I think Mad is the best team in this group. Yeah, like
Man, if I swear to God, if Wukong makes it through in a Mad game in TL, I will scream.
You might want to get your screaming out of the way now, because like, how do you ban that against Humanoid? Like, that's a part of the problem with this Mad Lions roster is like, Humanoid wins lane up like 20 CS on Victor and this shit, and it's like, what are you doing? You know, like you gotta like do something to stop him from playing Rise. You have to do something to like keep Ilyoya off of his power jungler because he's the shot caller for the team, and everyone knows this now. Like you have to do something to try and curtail their strengths, and then like, are you gonna ban Wukong plus Malphite in second rotation every game, and then just like lose your like Jace v tank top lane 3 games in a row? Like, come on, like it's sick. It's absolutely sick.
But
I
just
don't see
don't
a good
lose
way
to
to
the
get out of this.
Wukong. That's all I care about. It's like what's his?
lose the monkey.
No, I don't want it. I don't want
The-
it.
the thing, I think the most important player in this group for deciding how it's going to fall is Rascal, because man had a real hot and cold regular season. He had some really, really rough games. He had some really, really fantastic games. He is in a group with Armut and Alfari and Ale, who are all really, really, really good. And Genji have a really solid team. They've done this a lot, and there's nothing like they are, just by virtue of experience, I trust them to do pretty well. Rascal gives me a little bit of pause in the specific matchups that they are looking at in this group, because like normally I would say, yeah, I think they're going to be comfortably second. I don't think it's any big deal, but I think that there are points to be found for both LNG and TL for sure on the top side of the map based on how Alfari had played in playoffs. Like you can get stuff there.
Yeah, we just need Santorin to be on. I hope he's healthy and good to go.
For sure. And
That's
like
gonna be a
obviously
huge
floating
difference
in the
maker.
background of all of this is Santorin's health, because we don't want that to be the reason TL doesn't perform up to their highest level. It'd be such a shame to see that.
Yeah, because man, it's in the back of my head to this day of the final.
So that's the breakdown. I think, yeah, I will say I think it's Mad Genji out of this group, and I mean, disclosure, I have a Genji sticker on my computer. Like
I was
I'm
about to
not
say
biased here.
you're paid for.
I they sent me stuff. Sorry, no other teams did. But I I don't feel great about it because like I do think like this isn't a cut and dried thing like Group A is. I think that any of the four teams can get out. I think I'd put the most odds on Gen G getting out, which is I mean expected, but it's this is a lot closer and more interesting. Like I think like now that we've talked through it, Group A is the only one that seems really cut and dried. The other
Yeah,
three groups all have a lot of spice to them,
which I think will make really, really, really good viewing
for sure.
experience. Unlike the past, where some of that is just really brutal to watch.
Yeah, I yeah, and like even like Group A's games should be fun. I just don't think they're gonna go in a direction that leads to chaos, which means they will because it's Worlds. But
Yeah, they don't. I'm trying to think. It's really depending on who establishes the meta, I guess. If something wackadoo comes out that people really can't tolerate, I don't know. I don't think
all
that'll
right,
affect Bay that much,
if you
though.
had to call it today, who's getting to the World's finals? What two teams would you call today finals?
Damn one Team Liquid, easy. I didn't even have to think about it.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm thinking EDG on one side, and then I'm trying to figure out if it's like Damwon on the other, or if it gets really spicy and it's like EDG Mad Lions. Would be something I would see as an option here. That would be sick.
FPX Mad.
Ooh, that would be
FPX Mad.
that'd be a barn burner.
I wanted to say FPX 100 Thieves, but I didn't have the NA in me.
Really hard to go that far.
It's they'd have to win two best of fives against teams that are a lot better than they are if they get out of the groups. Look, if all I'm saying is they get second, they get PSG Talon as their first seed. Winnable, hard but winnable, and then they can't play EDG. So like if we get just hypothetical, in that world, you get 100 Thieves, PSG in the quarters. 100 Thieves springs the upset, gets the win, goes to semis. 100 Thieves mad for world finals.
That would be sick.
That's I think a somewhat realistic thing that could happen. Like
Yeah.
And that would be delightful.
And I think that
As
can
a
be established early. I don't even think it comes down to like tie breaks or anything too chaotic. Like if 100 Thieves comes out the gate and looks really good in groups, like
Well, always got to watch for that NA flare. There's like the C9, like win them all week 1, lose them all week 2. It's not always that a team pulls a TSM and just 06 is it. Like there are other ways you can fail, and like you got to be on the lookout.
The real trap I fear for here is if I pick this way, then what Mad's quarterfinal matchup then would be
Like Damwon or
Dom1 could be
FPX.
Dom1.
Yeah, like it's like
And
that's
that's
the it's
oh
that's the
boy.
catch is like after that first round, who is 100 Thieves playing? And it's like Damwon or FPX or Mad Lions is like those are like the 3 options.
Well, and like it's whoever gets that second seed from A is going to be in a rough spot. Like because that's the thing about how the stratification of groups is like whoever gets the 2 out of A is going to still feel pretty good about their quarterfinal matchup, where whichever 1 seed from the other groups draws that 2 seed is going to feel unlucky.
little sweaty.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I think it lends credence though to the mindset of, it's like the goal is to get out. Like it's okay if you drop a game. You don't have to come out of in this group stage. You don't have to come out first. Like
Yep.
you can drop a game. You can drop a couple games. You just need to get out of that group. Like it's the NA dream scenario, right? All you have to do is get out of groups. You don't have to worry about winning. You don't have to worry about like looking good. Just get out.
Please, please.
I believe as much in 100T as I have in any NA team in a while. I will say that. All right. We've talked about all there is to it. Now we just gotta start watching some games. Before I let Steven fully shill, Eric, how did the Arcane trailer hit you?
It looks cool. I didn't I hadn't followed Jinx lore background too much, so like this like weird like Jinx Vi sister arc where like they're gonna stand for each other even though one's the law and one's like the counter law. Like all I hope is that they don't try and like redeem Jinx. Like don't redeem the chaotic trickster with with rockets that blows everything up. Like
Yeah, I don't think that's what.
no redemption arc, please. That's all I ask.
I'm excited to Vi as the main character of a thing, I think is a good place to start. Because like, yeah, you have like the Caitlyn Jinx Piltover knowledge of that's a thing, and you have some other stuff floating in the background, but like you to see the Piltover Zon
Conflict.
crossplay and like the societal contrast between the two, I think is a really interesting angle to take. And I think that Vi, like, if you just look at it from the surface and read like no lore, Vi doesn't have a very deep feeling lore. She punches stuff real hard and she grunts while she does it. So like I think she's a good character to build up like this, and I'm interested to see how they do it, particularly like the scene they showed of like how she gets her giant gauntlets. I'm interested in how like she's like clearly trained as a fighter, but like has to fight and take these gauntlets from somebody, and like how that like being the core of her identity as a League of Legends champion is she's got these big gauntlets and she punches real hard. So like how is that developed as a part of a story? I'm very interested to see that. Steven, you got any good vibes?
Oh yeah. I mean I'm way into the lore. So I have like the lore book and stuff. So I have a good inkling of what they're doing. And if it's teed up the way I think it is, this is going to be like a huge like dropping like the giant boulder in the water and sending ripple waves of stars, like what they can do going out. Because this like it's a lot of the characters that they can introduce sets up for the the Dark Lady or whatever. Oh man, I can't even remember any of the names after I just like did the whole I know the lore thing. The LeBlanc arc and those kind of things because of her manipulation with the policies and what's going on in Piltover, and you got the Jace Victor stuff and all of those things. I definitely I can probably really reassure you that they're not doing a redemption of Jinx. They're doing a fall from grace. Like you'll feel bad for her if they do the right thing because they're doing the whole orphan children plot. One goes one way, one goes the other, and there's the family bonds of like, oh, I left them behind, and she's going really south. But also them teasing Heimerdinger and all of that is just a good showing that I was really afraid that they were going to really minimize the amount of like League of Legends characters that they were going to use and bring in a lot of extras. But them just showing out the gate, I believe a young Jace, Heimerdinger, definitely not Mundo, but a different person that succumbs to the same thing that Mundo does is my wager. Um, is good that like yes give us the characters that we wanted to see develop for the last decade rather than giving us a whole bunch of characters we don't care about. That's my hope. It's just like develop the characters you have, please.
Also, Vi is a prominent feature in my favorite cinematic ride has ever done, so I'm excited to see more Vi on screen.
All is intended. I also want to see
The
Urgot.
what was it? The season 2020 opening cinematic that was the
Hmm.
Warriors remix is the best cinematic they've ever done.
Yep.
It's dope shit. It's my favorite. I watch it all the time to get hype. Um,
Hmm.
not gonna lie. So more of that, and yeah, like kind of like you said of dropping the boulder in. This is the RCU kicking in here. Like this is the beginning.
And that's why I think it took them so long to announce where this is going to be platformed, because I think Riot was like, "Who's got checks? We got this here. Here's our pitch. Like, sign on to get this because this is big as far as just like the amount of stuff we can do, and we can pretty much guarantee it's going to be successful." Um, so who's cutting us a check, because there's a lot of streaming platforms out here right now. So I think that's what took it so long to A, release, and B, um, even announce where it was going to be released, because they were signing a long, very, very fat daddy contract.
And if anybody's good for that, it's Netflix.
Yeah, because they need it. They need to win really bad. Stranger Things cannot be produced fast enough.
Here's the thing. If I'm gonna shill for Netflix content, Drive to Survive is great. Watch Drive to Survive.
Where's Squid Game? I've heard a lot about that.
It's Netflix.
That's also Netflix. Okay.
Yep.
Also, as Eric well knows, new season of Great British Bake Off airing now on Netflix. Eric and I have talked about that.
We do not get kickbacks from Netflix, please.
I'm just saying, their content well is not as dry as you make it seem, good sir. You just gotta expand your horizons.
That sounds like people who have time.
You have 2 children and still play League of Legends. Don't you talk to me about time.
Oh, I just don't sleep. That's a different kind of trade-off.
I don't sleep, but it's not my choice. It
Yeah.
is my son's choice. It's different. Speaking of playing video games, Steven, what you playing?
I just played my first League of Legends games in a month last night. It was very nice. I am also playing a lot of Pokemon Unite still. I just hit veteran rank.
Nice.
Yeah. So
What's your main?
my main is Pikachu, because I'm a horrible person. But I've been playing a lot of Blastoise because I want to win. It's really easy to win on Blastoise.
I've seen some. I haven't played much lately, but I keep an eye on the subreddit, and I was seeing some sick Piloswine plays floating around the subreddit. And so if I get the switch back out and get back in, I might have to pick up some Mamoswine and see what
Yes.
that life's about.
Yes. It's
But
basically singed. You're singed. Like, you do a lot of disruption, but you don't have a lot of like solo capabilities.
well, yeah, and that's like it'd be a good contrast to the fact that I play Talonflame, uh, which is a different play style.
Yes.
In Pokemon Unite, I am a jungler. In League of Legends, I am everything but a jungler. Eric, what have you been playing lately?
I've mainly been playing board games or reading books and debating on the nature of what is or what is not dark academia.
Respectable. I have been playing Final Fantasy 13 lately. Has been the free time chill grind game of late. And yes, I'm trying hard enough to grind in Final Fantasy 13, the game where they made it actively annoying to grind before you're 75% of the way into the game. Fuck you, I can reload my saves. To reset the enemies that don't reset ever. Making me try so hard. Ugh. And I've been playing the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim special edition a little bit. Because I only play games that are like 10 years old. Apparently. I'm I'm very excited that I'm looking forward to playing Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl in
Yes.
a couple months. I'm very excited for that. So I've been getting my Pokemon hype. And actually, yeah, that's I've been playing Pokemon Omega Ruby lately. I just started a new file of that last week. That's the other thing I've been playing lately. So I've been getting my another good game to chill and grind on in that. It's been a good thing to do. And so my gaming has all been about nostalgia, right? I've played a
Yeah.
lot of old games and a lot of stuff that hasn't come out in a while. And if I wanted to represent that at a deeper level, Steven, where could I get something to show my nostalgia?
Oh man, if only there were things that you could wear that like showcase that you're a nostalgic fanboy. It could be at the Funky store. That might be a place you can get some nostalgia merch. There's a lot of good designs on there that represent a lot of better times than we might be experiencing right now. So you should buy that and feel good about it. Some of my friends figured out that we sell merch and they bought it and they're like, wow, this is actually nicer than I thought it was. And I took that as a compliment, as backhanded as it was. So you should try it too and find out how much nicer that it is than you think it is because it's not Teespring.
If you'd like to leave backhanded comments too, like, subscribe, and leave them in the comments below.
Yeah, and we'll plan to be back doing this through the World season and
You
getting
have
stuff
to.
developed, assuming you know personal business, but that's
Hell
none of
yeah.
y'all business. Fuck off.
Yeah, don't even ask.
Fuck off. So that's how we're gonna end this podcast. Get out of our business. Fuck off. Time, season 1.
Season 1, let's go.